Hello, listeners. My name is Anthony Ruelas, executive producer of the Brighten Up Podcast. Welcome to the Brighten Up Podcast, where we pull up the shades and shine a light on mental health topics both affecting and improving the lives of families. I am your guest host for this exciting bonus episode where we're flipping the script and hearing from someone who I've been wanting everyone to hear from for some time. It's the reason why I'm guest hosting. On today's episode, we're talking to the Brighten Up founder and host, Donna Quo.
Hi, Anthony. So good to be on the other side of the table today.
It's a little surreal, isn't it?
It is. Thank you.
We're making this episode because we have exciting news that we're going to share later on in the episode. For now, I found it was pertinent that we hear from you, we hear about you, because you've conducted a lot of great interviews and we've heard from many people, but I wanted the focus to be on you today. So, with that, Donna, for starters, I can't believe that this is kind of something that we haven't done, but tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you again, Anthony, for asking me to be your guest today. And thank you for all the work you have done on the Brighten Up podcast. Really, you are the backbones to this project and very talented. And it's an honor to work with you. I would like to start off.
I appreciate it, but flattery makes me nervous. But thank you.
So I am a mom of four, married, and grew up in the Northeast in the New York, New Jersey regions, living in Florida now. And I've worked as a nurse for over, 30 years. Wow, time flies. And as a nurse practitioner for approximately 20 years, with the last 12 years specifically in the area of mental health. I work full-time for a national telepsychiatry platform, and I'm currently working on my Doctor of Nursing practice. At the same time, very slowly, and somehow taking a swing at the piñata with the Brighten Up podcast on the side. So a little busy, a little tired, but very grateful for the people that I've had the opportunity to meet and work with, such as yourself and the guests that we've been honored to talk with so far as we've worked on moving the podcast forward.
Again, we're going to be taking this opportunity to discuss some of the things that we probably should have shared early on. But first and foremost, I think there may be quite a bit of people who aren't intimately familiar with what a psychiatric nurse practitioner does. So how would you describe what you do?
I work in the field of mental health under the umbrella of a advanced practice registered nurse and have undergone specific academic training as well as clinical hours in the area of mental health to work with the patient population that I routinely see day to day and enjoy treating and improving the quality of life of individuals living with anxiety, depression, history of trauma, mood disorders, ADHD, and just the weight of everyday life, and taking a look at the whole picture to work with individuals on a daily basis to develop unique treatment plans tailored to their specific circumstances that oftentimes are a combination of medication management as well as lifestyle recommendations to help people to become the best version of themselves. My role includes education, listening, and really helping people have self-compassion and gain a better understanding of what's happening in their minds and their bodies, and reminding them, as well as family members when able to, that people struggling with mental health are not broken, they're human. And it's a privilege to be able to work in this field. I really enjoy it.
How did you get into this field? What do you think it is that created this path in your life to get to be a nurse and then eventually get to this place of psychiatric nurse practitioner?
A big part of my job is helping people realize they're not broken, they're human. And oftentimes people believe that mental wellness is like an internal chess game, and they forget that there are many factors involved, like genetics and biochemical markers and many pieces to the puzzle that can contribute to individuals struggling with their mental health. And really, in my experience, that the best outcome really is a combination of taking your brain to the gym by reframing thought patterns that aren't in your best interests,
Oh, I love that.
staying active, eating well, and using medication when indicated. I recently heard a psychiatrist say he would never wait to feel motivated to take action. Motivation comes after the action. And that is something I tell myself numerous times every day because it really is true.
Is it safe to say that there is a stigma about medication? Is that a fair assessment?
Yes, it is still somewhat of a stigma to have that be even part of the solution, that there are strong beliefs that one should be able just to snap out of it or turn the other cheek or wish it away. And sometimes that can be done if it's a situational upset. We all have ups and downs in life, and certainly there are times when they will pass after a few days and a good cry and a good talk with a friend. But when it really becomes something that is more than that, like what the diagnostic criteria for depression is, like feeling low, hopeless, frequent crying spells, fleeting thoughts of self-harm for 2 weeks.
And I would imagine that's where a lot of folks begin to feel that shame or begin to
Yes,
have those feelings of being broken.
definitely. And that's where asking for help and having the awareness that this is getting to be a little bit too heavy or a bigger backpack than I can really carry right now. Or an analogy I like to use is you feel like maybe you're out in a lake trying to keep your head above water and you just can't find your footing. And day in and day out, it can become increasingly difficult.
Yeah.
Having
Yeah.
said that, I mean, medication is an important piece, but if I talk with somebody who may ask me, I'm on this medicine, but I'm not where I want to be, and they're not doing the work with complying with therapy or exercise, movement.
Because it's not just medicine.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. So I really feel like, to get to your question about how I got into mental health, I really feel like mental health found me before I found it.
Interesting. Tell me more.
I just never really thought about it too much, really, growing up, or not much at all until,
Wasn't really a thing that most people would talk about, I would imagine.
right. It
Yeah.
was kind of like even feelings. I mean, I'm Gen X, so we weren't really having open discussions about, hey, what is your mood on a scale of 1 to 10? It was kind of like, get on with your day and do what you need to do.
Oh, that sounds heavy.
Yeah, yeah. I think I realized that for me personally, that the potential impact it could have on one's life was during my first pregnancy, when I was increasingly anxious toward the end of the pregnancy, checking the heart rate all the time. I even ordered like an ultrasound to a home Doppler to make sure that the heartbeat was loud and strong. And that carried into the first 6 months or so of our first child's life, and experiencing that adjustment into motherhood was heavy.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
That was the first experience that I really had with mental health,
Hmm.
and what it was like to try to come out of that, and the self shame of, why aren't I more excited about this? Why can't I do everything right? That was really my first sneak preview. Thankfully, with the tincture of time and lifestyle modification and help from colleagues and a support system, I was able to move past that. But it has always stayed with me. And I'm able to relate to that season and draw on that in present day working with patients.
Were you a nurse at that time?
I was a nurse practitioner. Actually, I was
Okay.
a family nurse practitioner first. So
Mm.
during the early years as a nurse practitioner, I was working in emergency medicine while building our family and enjoyed that flexibility of shift work and certain hours as it just worked for our family at the time. But even during that time, working in emergency medicine and even primary care, there was a lot of mental health. And a lot of the chief complaints of people presenting to the emergency room really were rooted from anxiety, grief, trauma, stress. And I realized that I really had a special dedication and pull toward this work. I really felt as though it was where I needed to be, sitting with people in their hardest moments.
Wow. That's powerful.
So I would say, just as the years passed, with more life experience, three more kids, and learning more about the cycle of life and how mental health can affect physical health, family systems, and life trajectories and quality of life, all of that combined really played a huge role in shaping my decision to enter the field.
If you had not entered the field, do you have any idea of where you think you may have been?
Yeah, that's a good question. And it's so funny how it happened because nobody really wants to go back to school. I had already put so much time into it.
And yet here you are.
Yeah, I had gotten together with a couple of friends and they said there's a psychiatric nurse practitioner program at SUNY Upstate in Syracuse, New York, and I was living in Albany at the time. And it started that the three of us were going to travel there together. It was a situation where we would need to be on campus maybe 6 times out of the semester. It was
Hmm.
only about 3 hours away, but pretty tough in the winter months. It could get pretty dicey.
Yeah. Oh,
But the
yeah.
fact that we could travel together and journey as a team was very appealing. We lasted a month together, and then the two friends of mine decided that just mental health was not for them. It was not for them, and I was hooked. So I proceeded to continue, and they went on to do other amazing things with their careers outside of mental health in other specialties. But I really do feel like that happened for a reason because I'm not sure I would have even gone through the process of doing all the things that had to be done to apply to a program and get started with that.
That's very interesting. I'm sure a lot of folks that age would say to themselves, oh, if I'm not going to do it with someone else as I had initially planned, I might as well stop as well. Did you ever have an inkling of that? Like maybe this isn't for
Yeah,
me?
I did. I remember even saying as I thought about it that I would say to people probably after 2 or 3 years, by this time I had been in the emergency room almost 10 years or in urgent care. And I had said a number of times, I would really like to go back and become a psychiatric nurse practitioner. I think that's where I should have started. So it was almost a premonition that that was the path I was supposed to go on. Yes, I did think that maybe I should just throw in the towel, but it's just not the way I'm wired. I was there. I thought, let me see it through. And you never make a shot you don't take. You regret
Wow.
more what you don't
Yeah.
do than what you do, like those types of things that were coming to mind.
Such a pivotal moment.
But it wasn't easy to understand. I remember my roommate from college who we were roommates undergrad and nursing, and she said, "You're such and such an age." Because during this program, we were pregnant with our fourth child while I was in this program.
Wow.
to add on to the complexity. And
Hats
she
off to
said,
you.
yeah, she said to me, wow, like you're almost 40 years old and you're writing papers and you're pregnant with this, fourth baby. And I thought, yeah, this is a little bit over the top, but what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And I
My
don't regret it. I'm
goodness.
absolutely in the right place. And I
Yeah,
think had I stayed in the emergency room as much as I enjoyed it, I don't think it's for me specifically, it would not have been as fulfilling as this work.
that's so inspiring because, as you know, my wife and I never used to be like that. My wife has always been like that. If we have our hands full, let's just tack on another thing. And it drives me crazy, but it drives me crazier that I say, yes, let's do it. We can do it. So that's inspiring and that's encouraging that you did it. That lets me know that it is doable. That's awesome.
Thank you. And I think it's just having that belief and that faith and just listening, I think, to your gut. And, of course, I like that analogy with the jar, that experiment where you put the important things in first. Of course, always your
Hmm.
family, your health, your faith, and then you fill it in with how you want that all to come together. Oftentimes, growth occurs outside of your comfort zone and there's no elevator to success. And I admire you and your beautiful wife so much for being such exemplary examples of that.
We have our own chaos, but yeah, it feels good to know that we're not alone, and I feel like hearing it from you is gonna draw us even closer in our friendship, Donna. Wow, that's
Absolutely.
fascinating. You ended up graduating, you became a psychiatric nurse practitioner, you've been doing it for so many years, and now here we are with the Brighten Up podcast. You have been doing the work for so long. What was it that made you think there's something more that can be done? What is it that gave life to the idea of having a podcast?
I believe it was during my first position out of school. I was working in a private community practice, and it really was eye-opening how much really goes on in people's lives that are your neighbors, your colleagues, your friends and family, maybe that they were not always comfortable discussing, but were comfortable disclosing in a office space. And that first position, I realized that there was a lot of recurrent themes of just certain issues that look different for everybody, but
But an underlying theme nonetheless.
underlying theme, yes, just about struggles, resilience, perseverance, trying to see the positive, that sort of thing. That was just so important and so helpful for people. And during that time, that was pre-COVID, and I had an actual office space I was able to create, and I had just a number of probably 200 quotes, framed quotes all over my office, just to try to lift the heaviness, just flipping this switch of, hey, let's put this situation or let's put this thought in a different frame. Let's reframe it and try to grow from it and move forward. I almost felt like after a while, like I could be like an Alexa. I was saying the same things again and again and again, but it was needed. And it really highlighted for me what a knowledge deficit was out there surrounding mental health and how it could affect your life and family and what it looked like, what it meant to be depressed or anxious or self-medicating with binge drinking or eating or drugs, and a number of different
Yeah.
common threads that surfaced during that time. And I was talking with a drug rep one day and I said, it would be fantastic to be able just to have a platform to touch on these topics and share it with people out there, create a space where mental health didn't feel like intimidating or clinical, something
Yeah.
people maybe could listen to while driving, folding the laundry, or taking a walk, and just feel less alone and isolated with their struggle.
Were you already familiar with the concept of podcasts, or did you just inadvertently explain what the podcast was without knowing about this world?
Initially, no, I was not familiar. Podcasting was not as popular at the time. I had been discussing this since 2016, this idea of just this increasing this delivery of information and highlighting
Yeah, you were
mental
just
health.
accidentally ahead of the curve.
Yeah, exactly. And initially I thought it could be maybe having colleagues webinars up, and I actually had a few colleagues create webinars, and I had tried to release them and share them, and at the time it didn't really catch, and then we were into COVID. So by then, it was just really shifting gears and making sure the kids were still getting educated and keeping up dealing with the problems at hand. So it got put on the back burner for a while, but still always lingered
Yeah.
as a project that I wanted to explore more and try to see become a reality.
So then tell us how the ball got rolling on this idea. And maybe you can even touch on how you and I got connected.
That was really a divine intervention, Anthony. Truly.
I
I
feel
kept here.
blessed.
Yeah,
I
because I mean, how
just
would I
knowing
ever
you.
know, like, even how to start with this? But nonetheless, I kept having, the same pull. I kept hearing the same, same questions, the same fears, the same misunderstandings from patients and family. I continued to see how much stigma still exists around mental health, how much self-blame people carried. I really, at that point, thought there's got to be a way that could help illuminate these issues, normalize them, and reach more people in one full sweep, not just for patients, but people in systems supporting them as well. And my hope was that by increasing understanding, we could help reduce shame and ultimately elevate care. So at that time, I had relocated from New York to Florida over the course of about a year. We had a big change, and I had worked with a company based out of New York City and worked with a person on the leadership team who was in charge of the mental health program, who I worked for as a employee, Dr. Norby, who happens to be your beautiful wife, Anthony.
Although she
So
wasn't a doctor yet, though.
she
Not at,
wasn't,
not then. But
right. She also is a beautiful inside and out person, an extremely effective leader, organizer, visionary. Just what I had known from her, just working with her for that brief period with this startup company based out of New York City that was catering to children with
yeah,
special needs, and what she was able to accomplish during that brief period. It's remarkable. As I was there and getting settled into Florida, I was making a job change, and I was parting ways with this particular company as they were also changing directions. So Norby and I really only worked together for a brief period. And on the last day I was there, we had a nice conversation that I expected maybe to last 5 minutes. I was calling her to just say goodbye, and I believe found out that you both recently had found out that you were expecting and wanted to congratulate her.
oh
And then we were
goodness.
taking a deeper dive into issues surrounding mental health. And I shared with her that I would love to be able to create some type of platform or way to make more of an impact and shine the light on mental health issues affecting families, possibly through a podcast. By now I knew like what a podcast was, Anthony.
Yeah.
So it was progress. I would never know how to like get one out there, but I knew what it was. So when I shared this idea with Norby, she told me what a small world, because I should speak with her husband, Anthony, because producing content and broadcasting and art and everything that goes into the production process was her husband's specialty. That's how Anthony and I connected, and it was such a blessing. And our friendship has
Yeah.
deepened ever
Wow.
since. And as far
Wow.
as Norby, she since has become a licensed psychologist whose work originated into guiding the Latino community through culturally sensitive and accessible mental health education, which now has expanded to being a keynote speaker. And yep,
I actually did not know that you two only spoke about it in one of your last interactions, professional interactions, I should say, because now we're all friends. Like another thing that was left to chance. It was
that's
the
right.
last 5 minutes of a conversation, and I love what you said earlier. It was,
It was, I felt like a electric divine intervention, being at the right place at the right time, or having the right person to say that to. Like, what are the odds that
yeah, it was definitely serendipitous. Yeah, that's
yes,
awesome.
absolutely. Absolutely. And your work and what you two have accomplished together, but we can talk about that
Yeah.
more.
Yeah, that's for another time. I have had fun in this journey with you, and I hope nobody thinks that we're ending it because we're not. We're only getting started.
I'd like
I
to
hope
think
that's
so.
I hope that's not the tone I'm striking right now, but just reflecting back, we had a little hiatus. It's been a great experience. I feel like I am the single person who has had the most education from this podcast because I've had to listen to every episode numerous times in the editing process and production process. And so I've had the opportunity to sit on every word, every piece of information given by your guests, and I loved it. What do you feel when you reflect on what you've done with the podcast so far?
Very humbled to have been able to speak with the guests that we've been able to interview, and the podcast that we've produced. I think it's been helpful and informative and appreciated by people who those specific topics have personally touched. I feel that our most recent faith series was just helpful with elevating belief and hope and community for people of all backgrounds. I really have tried to just choose topics and guests that could elevate whoever's listening to the podcast, elevate lives. And I really think that we've been able to do that with the guests that we've been able to have on so far, from highlighting the importance of music therapy to eating disorders to social media, with my daughter and her friend talking about how that affected their middle school and high school careers, to healthy food choices and
Yeah,
autism.
we've touched a lot, haven't we?
We really have, yes. And there's so much more to touch on. I do have to say that I'm not somebody really that necessarily loves being in the spotlight or hearing my own voice.
It's
I
hard for
like
a
to
lot
come
of
out and
people.
play sometimes, but
Yeah.
sometimes I don't.
No, it's hard. It's hard for me. I'm not a fan of my own voice either. So I
Yeah.
don't see how people do it.
Yeah, yeah. I just, I love listening to other people, and I love being a part of the process, but recently with the responsibilities of life and kids and work and the enormity of and the potential of the amount of topics that can be covered under the mental health umbrella, and wanting really deeply and sincerely to continue to grow the podcast.
Yeah, speaking of growing this, I'm happy to be part of this process too. And I wanted to take a minute to ask our listeners to also join us in creating this thing and joining us in this process. So if you all want to connect with us, you can do so through social media. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. Leave a comment, ask for shout outs, and we'll do it right here on the podcast or on our social media platforms. Because moving forward, we want to hear from people and we want to hear what they have to say about what we're doing. And we want to hear their thoughts too. But back to Donna. You have been juggling so much. Yes. I want to quickly give you a minute to tell us everything you're doing so that we have an idea of what it is that's going on right now, to give context to the new direction for the podcast.
Well, yeah, so everything I'm doing, I'm balancing a number of different things right now, just with being a mom and really with 4 kids in very different stages of life, with 2 entering young adulthood and 1 in high school and 1 still in middle school, and really committed and doing my best to be present and do a good job with that. And also being a wife, a daughter, a friend, a sister. I have to remind myself.
A student now, again.
A student, yes, that's right,
Yeah.
a student. That balancing all of the roles is a constant negotiation. Really, it goes hour to hour, and trying to stay grounded in 2 of my favorite quotes, of one of them being, "You can't stop waves, but you can learn how to surf, and you can't stop the wind, but you can learn how to adjust the sails." Because
I love that. That's a very Florida quote.
yes, yes, exactly. So for me, balance looks like an hour to hour or 2-hour constant like renegotiation. And I try to remember, if something isn't going to matter a year from now, it's not worth worrying about or putting too much energy into. And with all of this and this mindset, I'd love to say that I'm proficient, but it's still very much a work in progress. So I would have to say that I'm just doing the best, like most people, and trying to believe in family and being able to have a career and being able to give back to society and be helpful, and really on all cylinders trying to keep that all moving.
Yeah. Wow. I really like what you just said. And I think I'm going to start using that myself since I have a 6, a 4, and a 2.5 year old. I'm just getting started. And you, on the other hand, you have 2 young adults, which for me sounds scary, but exciting at the same time. But yeah, I'm going to use that piece of advice of, will this matter in a year? I think that's really going to help me. But speaking
Yeah.
of 2 young adults, I did have a question. I like to ask parents on all levels for advice. But for you, my question is, has it gotten easier with 2 young adult kids? Which, by the way, again, friendly reminder to everyone, to our listeners, Lindsay was the first guest on the first episode. Bryce was another guest. They're both excellent people.
Yes, yes, he was. He was very helpful in the field of cybersecurity, and
Oh,
he's
yeah.
graduating this May. So thank you. And Lindsay's doing
Yeah.
terrific too. I'm honored to be their mom. And I
You
would
should
say,
be.
looking at them, and you should be, you and Norby are great parents too. You're all heart, you're all in it, everything you do. I've got to say, like, waking up one day and realizing you have 2 kids, one already in their 20s and one about second one about to turn 20, like it's a little bit bittersweet because it seems like yesterday that they were those little souls, like your kids, Anthony, like 2 to 6.
Oh man, I
They're
know.
just precious, and they want to be with you, and they're just pure love and innocence. And the world, some of the world hasn't really gotten to them. They're still, just so,
Yeah. I'm already mourning their innocence, even though it's not gone yet. I just know
yeah.
it'll come one day.
Yeah, it's just a part of life. We're all on our
Yeah.
journey of learning things, and not everybody plays nice in the sandbox, and that's a lesson most kids have to learn, by the time they get out of elementary school. So it just
Yeah.
but for us, I think it was bittersweet because it reminded us that time really passes so quickly, and it was a little it was a bit of sadness. Like, why? I wish I had it slowed down just a little bit and maybe like extended that bath time and not been in such a rush to get the laundry going and get the toothpaste off the sink. And you just think you have this endless and infinite amount of time and it just creeps up on you. You don't. But at the same time, it's really special to hear adult children reference and repeat wisdom and lessons they picked up while growing up. And
Mm.
when you maybe said it, you really felt like, wow, this is really landing on deaf ears. Like they are not processing this at all. But to take it a step further, and when they don't know you're listening and hearing them share those lessons with our 14-year-old and our 12-year-old, it's just such a blessing. And
Wow. I would imagine it's a little eerie too. Like, oh goodness, I did
it
that.
is right. And then of course, it's humbling because you think that you're this person that is holding the strings and you're guiding your children and they're but then you kind of turn the corner and you have this radical acceptance that kids and children, they're with us for a season and they're designed by God to move on to their own journeys, goals, and purpose. And while that's not always easy, it's just really rewarding to cheer them on and watch them soar and become friends as adults. So I've enjoyed it. I would say the hardest season though would have to be being a parent of teenagers
Oh
because it's
goodness.
such a wild card. And I always thought it was just a joke, but it's not.
Oh goodness. Yeah. Yeah. I have some friends who have teenage kids too.
Yeah,
And
yeah. I
yeah.
would say I would say advice for that part of life would be prepare for the worst, expect the best, and definitely have guardrails up.
Mm, I like
Stay
that.
consistent, have a whiteboard in your house of what your family values are. And I think if you do that, while the teenage years, kids might drift into unexpected territories, if you keep that persistence and that connection,
I
like
like
waves in
that.
an ocean, they'll kind of come back to shore. That's kind of what I gathered from the teenage years.
That's beautiful. I'm gonna remember that. Probably get it tattooed.
It's a good idea. Right. We have a ways to go. We have a ways to go, Anthony.
Yeah,
These
I
are the
know.
good old days.
Well, my 6 year old is going on 16, so
Yeah.
she is such a ball of drama, but I
She's
love her
probably
for it.
smart, picking up everything that you and
Yeah,
Norby are
yeah,
doing, and
very
she's part of
observant.
this Gen Alpha, right? That is supposed to have be like a great communicator of a generation.
Yeah, I could see that. I could
Hmm.
definitely see that in her. So, with that, that brings me to the main reason why I'm even talking to you right now as a guest host. Do you want to share with everyone what is next for the Brighten Up podcast?
Yes. So I certainly have a passion and a desire to keep the podcast moving along. And while I do like to be involved and will continue to be involved and creating podcasts and interviewing guests. I'm not particularly a person who loves being the center of attention or hearing my voice month after month with each new podcast. And I thought it would be more impactful and dynamic to work with colleagues and professionals in the mental health sphere who had various specialties and special interests, and invite them onto the podcast to host an episode and discuss a topic that was especially meaningful for them, and to choose a guest to either have that conversation with or interview. That would really add a lot of depth to the Brighten Up podcast and be able to even increase the sphere of influence.
That is awesome. When you first shared this with me, I needed a bit to think about it. Not too much, though, because I immediately started envisioning it, and I fell in love with the idea. So I'm excited for this new chapter for the podcast. But now, for the profound question of the episode, of our evening, the existential question. What's next for Donna Quo? I know you're going to continue to be involved with the podcast, and your episodes are going to be all the more special when you do host the occasional episode. But what is going to be next for Donna Quo in the meantime?
In the meantime, I will continue to be raising 2 kids that are still home and managing everything that entails, and working on our family unit, continuing to help our older children launch in life as they round the corner with school. I'll be continuing to work with patients at my full-time job through a national telepsychiatry platform, and pursuing my Doctor of Nursing practice at Florida Atlantic University slowly, with a hope to work on a research project that I'll share with you at a later time, that will
Wow.
add information and important knowledge and improve interventions surrounding the delivery of care, of mental health care.
Wow.
So
that's fascinating. That sounds exciting.
Yeah, I'm very excited. My hope is really just to continue contributing just to the overall good of society, just trying to be the best person for people around me, and really also to give back to the nursing profession that has given me so much, with one of my long-term goals being from the DNP program is to be in a position to help teach psychiatric nurse practitioners, just to share all this knowledge that you compile over these decades. So it seems like there's so much with just having that human connection and working. We've all been in vulnerable states at times in our lives, and having the privilege to work with individuals during those issues and help them through those processes, and has just been incredibly rewarding. And being able to share that from a personal and a clinical standpoint, I think would seem like a really great future endeavor for me. That's what I'll be working on the side, as well as as you said, being a part of this process as well.
Excellent. I've said this to you before, earlier in the episode, and I've said it numerous times privately to you in our conversations, but Donna, you are truly an inspiration to be such an involved mother as well as career-driven woman. I know the grind because I've seen it in my wife. When she was going through the doctorate program, we had our 3 little babies, and I was a stay-at-home dad. So for me, it was difficult, but for her, it was next level for folks like you. So I applaud you, and I'm rooting for you, and I'm excited.
Thank you, Anthony. And I would say, both Norby and I are very lucky that we have partners who are our best friends and that love us and support us, and she is really, as she does for you, and we really, I do the same for my husband. So I just thank you for saying that.
Well, Donna, thank you for conducting so many interviews with so many fascinating people and bringing all these conversations to the table. I think
Yeah,
every time mental health is destigmatized, even in the slightest way, it moves the needle for society. And Lord knows we need more of that.
exactly. And it's something that touches every demographic. It's not just in an inner
Yeah.
city. It's it's a private high school. It's a middle class community. It's in wealthy areas. It's across all nationalities, and it's a universal concern. Thank you for your talent and expertise with production
Well,
and
that flattery I might take out. I might edit this out.
all
But
right.
no,
But you're an old soul, Anthony. You are. I mean, none of this would get
no, I
done without
appreciate
you.
it.
Really?
I appreciate it because I'm passionate about it, and this was my background too, and this is a noble pursuit of mine. Is we got to move the needle,
Yep.
and
Absolutely.
we got to help
Absolutely.
folks. Well, again, Donna, thank you for giving us your time. Friends, family, listeners, we have a feature in the description section of each episode. There's a link you can click on if you're listening from your phone where you can send us a text. It'll come directly to us. If you have questions for us, for our guests, if you have a comment about a previous episode, you can text that to us and we'll receive it and we can address it on social media or feature it on one of our episodes. Donna, thank you again.
Thank you so much, Anthony. And I'd like to add to our listeners as well, if there's any area of interest you would like to learn more about or anything that you would like us to touch upon that maybe we haven't covered yet, please do share that with us as well. And we will do our very best to
Of
manifest
course,
that.
of course. It's goodbye for now, Donna, but until next time.
Until then.
Thanks for tuning in, friends. We appreciate you listening in. Please share this podcast with someone you love or care about. It'll go a long way in supporting us and hopefully making an impression on someone's life. Until next time, remember to live on the bright side of life, like the sunflower that faces the sun.